wonderful guy. Now, let me talk a little bit about this guy. Now, this is probably the only one I never met, but it looked like I met him and I know him for years. The reason is when I start communicate with him through the internet, through the social media, absolutely lovely guy, lovely magic, and his brain is full of absolutely amazing effect. He's going to talk about his effect. He's got things to sell. He's got a book, a brand new book. Apparently, he was telling me there's another book coming up as well. But I saw some of his creation, and trust me, they're absolutely crazy. I don't know the way he thinks, the way he does it. He's a crazy guy. Now, Guilherme Curty, I believe, so far I know, is a Portuguese guy who lives in Norway. He's going to tell us how many years he's been living in Norway. So, Guilherme, are you there?
Yes. Hello.
Yes,
Hello. Nice to be here. Nice to talk to you.
We need one day we need to meet face to face and spend a real time doing magic, but also have some wine together, because we got this thing in common. We love wine, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Guilherme, the first thing I want to ask you, very simple. Could you introduce yourself, exactly where you're from and where you come from and where do you live?
Yes. Well, I am Guilherme Curty. I am born in Brazil, in Rio de Janeiro, and I have been living in Norway for the last 13 years.
Right, because you see, I already made a mistake. I thought you was Portuguese, but you're Brazilian.
Yes, it's because of my mustache.
Yes, it's really French Portuguese mustache, right? So, yeah, and when do you think, do you remember the first time, the first déclic, or you said, I'm going to become a magician, or something like we all started by something? Is it someone you met or someone you saw? Is it a magic box being offered for Christmas or something like that? Can you remember that?
Well, it was, yes, it was actually my brother. He got a book from my father. My father had this huge book collection, and he had a book on magic. And my brother started to practice, and I was completely blown away of these things he could do. And one day he gave up the hobby, and I retrieved the book and started to learn the effects. And so I never stopped.
How long did you live in Brazil?
I lived in Brazil until I was 24 years old.
Wow. So you started magic in Brazil, I guess.
Yes, yes. I started with this book that I actually have. This is my first magic book from 1977, published. And it's a great book from a magician that unfortunately passed away last year.
Yeah.
But this book inspired me my whole life, and still does. So.
Oh, very interesting. And I guess it's in Portuguese, right? Or Brazilian?
Yes, this is in Portuguese, done by a Brazilian magician.
Oh,
so I started with this, and with 11 years old, we moved to Rio de Janeiro's downtown, the center of Rio, and I started to look for the shops that were shown in the book, but they were all closed because this book is from the end of the 70s, and I was about the mid-90s.
Was there no magic shop in Brazil at the time? You never found any magic?
At the time, I couldn't find any. Of the ones in the book, they were all closed. So walking the town, I saw a magician performing in the streets, and he was like doing a kind of dealer show. So that was when I had the first contact with other people doing magic. Yeah. So I started to work as I could to get money to buy those tricks. And afterwards, I discovered that I could make them by hand. But so with 11 years old, I started to do my own magic shows in the streets.
So at what age did you start doing magic then? What was the first show you did? What age was you when you starting your first show?
Well, my first shows were those in the streets, right? So I was doing that for 3 years before I got invited by a magician who saw me and invited me to join a magic club. So after that, I started to perform more in like magic events and shows with other magicians, and yeah, I started to be more into the
Was there a big
magical.
influence, a name or someone you will say it was your influence when you really started working and you look up as a magician in Brazil, or was it someone in Europe or in the state maybe? Or
Well, there were many, but right in the start, maybe Mr. Legnar, he was an old man who also manufactured tricks, and he was a great inspiration, as well as Bob Ricardo, which was maybe my first real magic mentor. So, but there were other people in Brazil that I looked up to as Varone. He was a genius, and Aronak, which I haven't met, but I've been doing his biography my whole life. So those people, they were very inspiring for me,
yeah, see,
especially.
but I mean, for us, it's really interesting because I never met a lot of Brazilian magician, and it's really interesting to know. It's probably some people was really good and probably still good there, I guess, but we never really heard of that name here in Europe. So it was really interesting.
No,
Yeah, it's very good.
well, Varone, he did some because he started to get more known when he was a bit older.
Yeah.
So, and he died when he was about 60. So, but he was starting, he did the Latin American FISM in 1992, and he was invited to Spain to show his color changing nights routine to Ascanio himself.
Okay.
So he was starting to get some projection outside Brazil. But we all know Harry Evans, and Varone was like Harry Evans' biggest mentor. You know.
No, that's interesting. And would you say you prefer close up or stage magic? Because I know you do both of it. But is there a preference, a close up? You're more a close up guy, or you do more stage magic?
Well, I would say that I'm more a stage magic guy because is that what I do for a living. I almost never do close-up jobs unless the customer really insists.
Oh, you do more stage and paru and things like that, right?
Yes, professionally, yes.
Oh, wow.
So, but I do love close-up to do at home
Yeah.
and perform for my friends and to study. So yes, but I don't make a living out of close-up.
And Guilherm, how old was you when you moved to Norway then? When you was 26, you
At
said?
24.
24, right? And did you work straight in magic or do you had another job?
Oh no, when I came to Norway, I had to restart everything. It's like a reset button, you know,
Yeah.
because the language was so different, everything, the culture. So I had to start from zero, and I
You
wanted
have
to
to
learn
learn
the
again, I
language.
guess. You have to learn the language and everything.
Yes, I really wanted to work in the family market, and for me to speak Norwegian was necessary.
So how long did it
So
take you to learn the language?
it took me about 3 years to start to talk it a bit nicer.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah,
I've,
it's
I've been
like
to
going
Norway.
back to baby times, you know.
It's like Chinese for me. No, really,
Yeah,
it's
it's
amazing.
something like that.
It's crazy, man. And one question I really like about the international magician is the difference. You think the difference performing, let's say for you, will be performing in Brazil with Brazilian audiences and performing in Norway, because I guess it's totally different world. So you found a huge difference the way you approach people, and especially the reaction. Do you have a different reaction the way they react on magic tricks between Norway and Brazil?
Well, I haven't been in Brazil for 13 years, and I was there 1 month 10 years ago. So from the time I performed there, I can see a very big difference. But I also see that Brazil is changing a lot. Magic is getting much more popular. But I think it was kind of the same as Eric Leblon said to you in your interview, that Brazilians, Latin people in general, they don't like to be kind of what they say, be fooled.
Right. Okay.
So that was maybe the biggest difference that I saw in Europe, how people were well behaved, especially kids. so well behaved and watching through the whole show. And if they want to say something, they lift their
Are you
finger.
talking about the Norwegian kids?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
all right. Very interesting. Yeah.
It's brilliant.
Yeah, because
It's
in
quite
France or
easy to
England,
work
it's real
actually.
chaos for kid show. Yeah.
But in a way, these difficulties that you have in with hard audiences, like performing in the streets in Rio, that was a very tough audience to handle.
Okay.
People scream at you, people say whatever they want. But that's good because it's a big learning process as
You
well.
learn the hard way, right? You learn the hard.
Yes, and it's great because you really learn how to manage people. I had to tune down a bit my humor when I came to Norway, especially for adults, because there's also many cultural differences in jokes and things. But
Oh, right. Okay. Got you. Yeah. Yeah. Because I work in Norway as well, and I maybe it was a language barrier, but also the because I was not speaking Norwegian, it's difficult to come across with the humor. So you need to
yes,
learn the language, and from there you could just adapt on that. But yeah, very good. That. So how do you like Norway? Do you enjoy Norway?
oh, I love this place. It's became my home, and I have a wife here. I have two kids, and yes, I really like. I live in a farm, so I'm not in the middle of the city. For me,
Where do you live
came from a
exactly in
big
Norway?
city.
South, north, west, in Oslo? Where do you live exactly in
I
Norway?
live 50 minutes by car south of Oslo.
Right? Oh, very good. Yeah. I like Norway. I think it's a very expensive country.
Yes, it is.
You need a
That's true.
mortgage when you go to a restaurant.
It's crazy. And yes, I think more expensive than here, only Tokyo or something.
Yeah, and magician-wise in Norway, I know a few people there. Do you have people you get in touch with, magician like John Enso, I guess, people like that? You know?
Yes, I have some contact with John. He have helped me with some English grammar in the past, so he's a very nice guy. But I haven't been a lot with him personally. But I know Rune Carlson, Daniel, which is now the president in the Magic Circle, Davido, which is a huge name in Magic here, been a FISM first prize
Yes,
before.
yes, very good.
Finn Jon used to live in Oslo before, so I met often with Finn in the meetings of the Magic Circle. So it's quite a lot of good
Mhm.
people here doing Magic.
No, very good. And Magic Club, is it a Magic Club? Because I did lecture there, but I can't remember if it was a Magic Club, a Magic Shop as well. In
Yes,
Norway.
right now there aren't any Magic shops in Norway, physical shops like Mortar and Brick,
Right.
but uh, we have two clubs, Magic Circle, which meets in Oslo and have some branches around the country, and we have the Magic Ring, which is also having meetings around Oslo.
All right. Okay. Very good. Because I was talking to some other guys from Holland, and also it'd be interesting to know many magic clubs, and sorry, magic shop there are in your in your country. So that's quite interesting. But now, one thing I'm really exciting, and I was telling you because when we talk to each other, is your creativity about tricks. And I think I mean, I saw a lot of people doing makeup tricks, but the way your mind work is crazy. I mean, you come up with some amazing stuff. I know it's one trick we can't talk about because you may produce it somewhere, so it's a bit on the secrecy of a man. But absolutely a blow mind tricks, and I was telling you, you will sell that like bread, right? It's absolutely crazy. These tricks, if you want, guys, when it will become available in the market, is absolutely phenomenal. Literally, you cannot believe it's an illusion, perfect illusion, absolutely crazy. But as we're not going to talk about that, I like to talk about your book. Now, could you tell us about? Is that your? It's not your first book, is it, or is it your first book you published?
Well, this is my first book, actually,
Can you say it?
but I am working on. I've been working parallel projects for some time now, and this is the first I'm publishing. But I'm with another one, which is I'm almost ready for publishing as well. But this is more a historical book. This first book of me, it's a book with some of my ideas and routines, so that I wanted to share, and I thought it was
Matt,
material that
can
people.
you tell us about the contents? Is it more card tricks or everything, or?
Yes, we can say that half of the book is about card tricks. So there are lots of routines. There's a gimmick that a gaff that even have some routines from other people,
I love the
and
drawing as well.
some work on stack decks and some different things. So it's a bit of mentalism as well, and a bit of stage magic, all very easy to follow,
Yeah.
detailed instructions. So
What about the
yes,
drawing? Did you make the drawing yourself?
yes, that's all illustrated by me and all written by me. So,
That's unbelievable. And you,
first
so you,
baby.
that's your first book, and you said you will have a volume two. Will be ready when? When's
The
that
volume
ready?
two of the books, the book with the effects, I believe not this year, because we've lost a lot of the
Yeah.
time now, and I have to concentrate in other projects. But I want to release this year one book, which is a biography of this magician from magician from Brazil. This book
Oh,
is about
okay.
400 or 500 pages now.
Have you
So,
already started it? Is nearly finished or
oh
complete?
yeah, I started it 8 years ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, it'd be amazing. I guess
Yeah,
in
it's been a
English.
long time waiting.
Is it in English, right? Or Norwegian?
Well, this book will be in Portuguese.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yes, this book will be in Portuguese.
And would
So
you
I'm doing it more for this importance his biography have to the history of magic in Brazil than anything else. For
so
me,
you
it's
will on that way you will be able to sell it to Amazon and a lot and touch a lot of more public rather than just magician. Is that correct?
yes, I think so, because it's a book that is actually a history of Rio de Janeiro through the whole
Correct, yeah.
20th century, because this guy lived from 1903 to 1994, and he was active his whole life.
So it'd be an
So
interesting story for even someone who's not in magic, correct?
absolutely, that was also my thought.
Can I buy one when it's ready and I will learn Portuguese just to read it?
Of course, man.
And how much, just coming back to your book, the magic book, how much you sell the book like that? Have you got a price already? Obviously, the
Uh,
link will be underneath where to get it directly to you. But
yes, this book now it's sold for about 50 or 60 euros,
perfect,
and is on the Pegani shop in Denmark,
right?
or sold by me. I'm not distributing it in a large scale.
So they could send you an email and you could send the book straight to them. Perfect.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Perfect. That's really good.
And
And
here is some secrets that I have kept for many years
that sounds really
in
good.
my own acts. So
I like it. It's well made, and the drawings is just beautiful. I really like it. I like the feel of it. And there's a nice
thank you.
photo of you with no beard, no mustache. What happened there?
Yeah, look, it's it looks like a human being, right?
You know what the cover remind me? Because I know you've done Norways Got Talent, correct?
Yes.
And can you tell us about the feeling? Because in England, Britain's Got Talent is really popular, every year, and more you have magicians like the Jimmy Raven and all these sort of people. So every year, I mean, this year is quite a few magicians as well. But tell us a little bit, did you apply, they contacting you, or how does it work? Because in England, most of the people get contacted by them. Or
That was a funny story, because I was working in a place actually as a cook. I also worked as a chef here and a cook.
right?
So I was working in a kindergarten as the cook for the kindergarten. So I was doing like healthy food with kids and cooking with them. And one parent, one mother of one kid, she had booked me for birthday parties for all his or her kids. And she was like insisting, you should go to this TV show, you should go to this Norwegian Got Talent. I said, yes, I don't know, maybe. So yes, I gave it a shot, and yes, it
But
was
did you
very nice.
actually apply? Did you actually apply, or or they contacted you? So you
Yes,
have,
I applied. I
you didn't
applied. I
do.
went through the whole process.
Oh, that's a nightmare to do all that, didn't you?
Yes, it is. So I
Wow.
had to go to this first day with thousands of people there in the line, waiting 3-4 hours to do an audition. That was just the producers. So I went through that phase, and then I went to the film audition and all
Oh,
the
so you done
things.
it proper, not like us who we get invited every year. And
No, I was invited to some talent shows
right,
outside Norway as well in the last years, but I have decided not to participate.
yeah. And so what was the outcome of it? Did you done your show? Because I think I saw your show. You sent it to me on private thing, but was it like more like a stage magic? Wasn't it? I remember being
Yes, it
a
was
bit
stage magic. It
comedy.
was actually what I did commercially. So I just did what I did. I thought about if this is going to get me more jobs as a magician, so I should do what I do in my jobs.
But I remember being very energetic and a lot of passion, and that's what I remember. So I know if that's probably the way you work in public, with really energetic and full of humor and fun, and go for it
Yes,
with straight in.
yes,
Very
and a
good.
lot of classic magic. I love classic magic,
Yeah.
so I professionally love to perform it as well.
And did you
Of
finish? What
course,
did you
my
go to a semi-final and things like that, or?
I went straight to the final that year,
Well,
so it was great. It was very nice. So I had to quit my job and just work with magic.
all right, because before, my understanding, he was a chef for what? For how long?
Yes, I worked in restaurants, and then I moved to a kindergarten.
Yeah.
Worked there for maybe 2 years before I happened that from the talent show.
Okay. Yeah. Now that's one thing I'm really excited about because I know some of your trick. Now, the trick you're going to perform for us, because I ask you to do, if you don't mind to do it, is a snowman. Now, can you
Yes.
show that to us and tell us? Can you just go back to the idea you had and maybe the construction? How do you develop a trick like that? Because that was really interesting. That.
Yes.
But from the
Well,
start, I remember you sending me some stuff, and suddenly it become better and better and better. And now the end product is crazy. So I think it's a very, very good effect and really unusual as well. So I'll let you talk about.
so the snowman itself, it's a version of a classic imp bottle, which is a classic of magic. And this was funny because sometimes I think about an effect I want to do or maybe wish to do, and then I start to brainstorm different ways to achieve that, right? But in this case, it was very funny because I was working with another thing, and I suddenly had this idea of the whole method in my head, and I just draw it very fast in a piece of paper and put it aside. And the other day I start to look, and yes, it's possible. So I started to build it, and this is snowman. It's completely sealed, and it can be examined and can be held by the spectator, and the spectator can do the magic himself actually, because the snowman, you just need to talk to it. If you talk to the snowman, like you hypnotize, you look at his eyes and you say, Mr. Snowy, can you please lay down? So everybody who touched the snowman can now lay down the snowman anywhere, and it works in any surface anywhere, and they can examine, they will not see anything, right? The only way to make the snowman stop to lay down is a secret, is to scratch his feet like this. You scratch it, and then he cannot lay down anymore.
It's
So what I did is to build a completely examinable and automatic, in a way, impossible bottle. So, and that's it.
you see, again, well, because this is a trick I was telling you when you showed it to me the first time. I said, this is not just a trick for magician; it's a trick for everybody, and it's why you will sell tons and tons. I mean, I could see someone demo that in Covent Garden or any a toy shop around the world, and they will throw that like so quickly because it's like you said, it's so easy to do and it's very impressive for people. I mean, you can I mean,
Yes,
the
because
idea is
people can
crazy.
do the
It's like a
magic
puzzle.
themselves. You can have one person to have superpowers and the other one cannot. So
Yeah,
you can play a
exactly.
lot with the audience using just this.
No, that's it. And can you do just? I mean, it's a snowman of a moon, but can you do different figure? Could be like a
Yes.
soldier, or
Yes.
could be a nun, or whatever.
Yes, it can be a tumbler, it can be a snowman, it can be a small bottle, it can be any object you want. I even have some ideas for.
But have you so on a are you already manufacturing it? Have you sell it, or you somebody's doing it for you, or what's the situation?
At the moment, I am producing a very limited run of those by myself.
We could buy it from you direct.
Yeah, so people can buy. I will not produce more than 20 units. So I
Okay.
have sold some of them. I have very
So
few.
if somebody send you an email and said, how much is it? You could talk to them direct and give them a price and sell it. Okay,
Yeah,
that's one.
yeah.
But you need to do that in a big scale. You need to do thousands of them. You need to fund.
Yes, a little bit bigger. Yeah, I have some ideas for it, but I'll get there.
Because can you make it slightly bigger as well like that, or the size is important? You
No,
need to,
no, the size is not a problem. I did small because it's very easy to carry on your pocket,
yeah,
right? So you
okay,
can go. And also because um, these tumblers, they need a weight on the bottom, right?
right.
So I didn't have a bigger, I need to make a bigger mold to make a bigger weight so it can make in
Yeah,
bigger
got
size.
you. Yeah. But it's crazy. This is a good product. Absolutely amazing. I really like the idea to everybody could do it without it. It looked like your hand is totally empty. There's nothing hiding in your hand.
And it's not in your hands. So it's actually everything works. It's in the doll, all the mechanics, and it's impossible to find the secret. It's like
Oh, I mean, if you'd never tell me, I have no clue. It's very ingenious, very genius.
very different, yes.
And what?
So this is one I've been working with. Yeah, this is actually from this year. So I was so happy to conclude, and I really wanted to show Mr. Legnar, which was one of my inspirations as a kid, because he used to do the classic version,
Right.
which you have to load and unload things on it, right?
Yeah.
But he used to do that in the streets and do a show that you won't believe how much
Just.
comedy power he could extract from this piece, from this trick.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was like a 20-minute show, people laughing their heads off, and only with the bottle,
Yeah, because I think
I,
that's
I know that he would love to see one that is actually, there is no holes, there is completely sealed.
And I mean, if you have a good banter and a good story and you're very entertaining, the trick is it's nothing to do with the trick, is it? It's all what you put around it.
Absolutely.
So, very good, very good. And so you have a lot of production, a lot of tricks you're manufacturing. The one with the match. Can you show me that? The one with
Yes, that's something that sometimes I like to work on classics. I love that actually to take up a classic that people have been doing for 300-400 years and say, what can I do for this? Is it possible to update it? So one of the effects was an effect that I saw first in the movie Lily when I was a kid. It's an old movie about a guy in a circus and a girl, and it has this it's a classic of magic, which is with the match to rose. So
Whoa.
this was a beautiful effect that I always loved, and I thought I love this, but I would love to have it a full rose instead of just the head. So I started to think what I could do and
Wow.
did this.
I was like, wow. It's just,
Yes, and it's a full rose.
yeah, that's amazing. And easy to reset, boom, you have to reset it very quickly.
Yes, you reset it maybe in 10 seconds, maybe.
Yeah,
It's a reset. Because it's all mechanic as well.
it's very clean. And do you actually sell this one as well or not? You make it
I'm not selling it yet,
yeah.
but I'm planning. If I have enough people interested, because I'm for preparing some of them, I need to buy some materials. So
Yeah, okay, so production is very good. I think you will sell a lot of that. So you got some crazy idea. I mean, it's the other trick we can't talk about. I mean, I can't put my head around how strong he is. And George Kings, my friend, saw it as well. And we was like in the office, I remember, and we went, gosh,
yes,
it was unbelievable.
this is actually, this is I can show like here.
Yeah, that's it, guys. Guys, when you see that publicized somewhere in a magic shop, just buy it, do it, and it will go mental. Absolutely superb effect. Talking about effect, actually, another question I'm quite interested to ask is there a trick you would never perform? Something you think, you know what, I will never do that. I mean,
Oh
you
yeah,
heard I will always refer to my good friend Eric Leblanc, the free fly. For one reason,
yeah.
he didn't like it. I like it. A lot of people like it. He didn't like it. For me, it make no sense. But what about you? Is there something you will never like to do?
Yes, well, there's something that I will never perform.
Yeah, I will never perform. Yeah.
Although I liked when I was a teen. It's the card through window
All
effect.
right. What is
Yeah.
there a reason for it?
Well, this effect was very popular in Brazil because of David Blaine when 1997. I think he did a card
Yeah.
through window, or some of those magicians. Suddenly becomes very popular, and every teenager wants to do it, right?
Oh, I remember that.
So I was having one of my first actually paid gigs, like good gigs, and I was in this big mansion of a judge in Rio, a very fancy party, all people, all very fancy people, and, and little me there saw this little window between the living room and the kitchen, and I thought, oh, I maybe try to do on this window. So I prepared myself, waited for the best moment, and yes, take a card, blah blah blah, take the whole deck, throw
Great.
against the window, and the whole window went out of the frame and fell on the kitchen. Wow! So the whole party stopped, and it was that silence. Everybody looking at me, and the cards in the floor, and I was like in shock as well, you know, and I felt so bad. It was so unprofessional, you know. I was a kid, and I had no idea. So
You never done it again after that.
never,
You,
never. And I said to the owner, I was very sorry, and I said, please, I can help, I can fix it. I pay a new one for you, and she was like very angry, and she was like, how, this window was 150 years old? And I was like, no.
they were shit. It broke so easily.
Well, it could be a regular glass, right? No, it should be the glass that's over a century old. And oh my God, that was an experience that I left today, and I remember it like with some. But actually, it was very. It was a great lesson in that sense. If it's something great from it, it was the lesson I took from it.
Yeah,
In many senses, in how to behave and how to use other people's personal things, like a window. It's a personal
yeah.
ownership, you know? So this kind of things, that thoughts that I didn't have at all when I was 17, you know.
For me, it's a glass. When I go to a very posh party or posh house, I never try to no use their glass because it could be a very memorable item for their grandmother or whatever. And if you break their glass, you're in a real problem, you know. So you have to
Yes.
be careful. Private parties, you have to always be careful. But that's a great story, breaking a full window.
It was terrible, man. I felt bad for months. I wanted to quit magic. I felt so bad. But of course, when you're doing professionally, you have to really think much beyond the effect, and sometimes even the entertainment itself. You have to think about these small things that are technical, and
But
they're nothing to do with
without
magic.
giving too much away, was there the carton window? Did you have to prepare it before, or you have a whole mechanism to make the things happen, or so you have to?
No, I used the method that I prepared before. Yeah.
So it's already there and things like that.
Yeah, it's already there.
Yeah. Okay, so I thought it would have been more fun if you had to have 2 days preparation.
Oh God.
Shit, man. And Guillaume, what about lecture? Are you lecturing? Or have you done a few lectures, haven't you? Or you never really lecturing?
Well,
Lecturing.
I do lecture sometimes. I have done in November one lecture in Denmark together with Harry Evans and Nicolas Pierri.
Oh, Pierrick. Oh, wow. The Swiss
Yes,
guy, yeah, Pierrick.
yeah, Pierri is a great man.
Oh,
He
Pierrick.
lovely
Gosh,
magic, lovely thoughts on magic. He's a
I
great
heard
guy.
he's coming to Blackpool apparently. That's what I
Is he?
heard. I saw
Wow.
something to do with Pierrick in Blackpool. I'm not sure, but great guy, really entertaining, very funny. Yeah.
So yes, I'm doing. I have done a lecture here. Then this new one based on my book here in Norway. Now I may do it in Brazil if the invitation comes.
But have you thinking doing an English tour, a French tour, things like that? Do you lecture
Oh,
in
I would
Korea?
love to. I would love to. I was actually talking to a friend in Italy as well, so I would love to lecture. And the idea was to go down to Italy now in April, but since everything
Spanish
happened,
tour will be lovely as well. Spanish is, I done it, absolutely amazing. You will love just Spain, absolutely beautiful to go around. That's a great tour to do. But in England, we got a lot of clubs that we absolutely love you there, especially
oh
if
yes, the magic in England, it's absolutely amazing. I would love to come to England as well. Yes, if I have the
oh, your sound's gone.
magician friends, and well, for me, it's always a great experiences and meet new people, and
Oh, and Guillermo, just another thing I didn't ask you. Did you do any TV in Norway as well? Have you done any TV work except Norway's Got Talent?
yes, I've done some little work. I've done a job here as an actor as well in a drama series. So
Oh, tell us about it. What was that?
I was just like a series, like this CSI type series, but like with lawyers.
Yeah,
And they have like each episode, it's like 2 cases, this kind of series.
yeah, yeah,
So it was one series that one episode of this series, they're very popular, that they had a case with between two magicians. So I had the chance to be invited and participate on that. That was very, very funny as well.
yeah. And I remember, did you do something in England as well? Did you do a competition in England or not?
Yes, I did.
Did you go to Rockman Milan or not? Was it?
I was in Blackpool in 2016,
That's it. That's what I thought it was.
and I competed in a child and children entertainer competition.
Ooh,
It was very funny because it went all bad, man. It was horrible.
I
You
think I
know this.
saw it. I saw it. I remember seeing that.
Remember the guy with the music? He was putting all the tracks wrong,
Yeah.
and then I started just to make jokes of the guy, because what I'm going to do, I have to steal the show and I have to do something out of it, like
But
I can't play.
did you get the second place as well, if I remember?
Yes, I got second place. I was so shocked because it went all bad, and people
Yeah, but I
still
think
voted
they
for
saw
me,
the
and I was like, oh my
potential.
God.
They saw the potential, and it was a lot of humor, and the charisma was there, and I think that's why people liked it.
Yes, I think sometimes that's the case, right? So
Yeah,
even though the tracks went everything wrong, and I got nervous because of that, the jokes I did in the improvising, they
Congratulations, yeah.
helped a lot, I believe.
Yeah. Are you thinking going back to Blackpool next year?
Well, I would love to. I would love to go to Blackpool.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You know what? I'll just remember you had a candle tricks as well. I remember you was working on. Is that something you're going to finish? Is it finished, or is it going to be published? Or
Oh yes, it's finished. I sold it. I sold about 70 candles until today.
it was a candle you just
Some people
light?
count.
It was light up candle just from a remote control, I guess. Is it something like that?
Yes, but I made it in end of 2017. It's a candle that is completely made of wax,
Yeah.
and it can stay lit for a very long time without this wax melting. So, and it's very realistic, and also the flame is also, I had a lot of things that I tuned in for making this candle, and I still make them, but in a very special cases, because it takes a very long time
Must be quite
to make.
expensive to make as well, isn't it? It's quite
It's
expensive.
about 70 hours.
Wow. Yeah. But no, I remember it was a very good idea, very clean and workable for people to
Yeah,
do stage, right?
I'm working in different model now, but I maybe will keep it a while before I think about sharing it. It's I'm making it a model that has some very interesting features on it. It's not,
Mm-hmm.
it can like have some kind of poltergeist reactions to external things. So it's
And
quite
is
cool.
there is a new project you're going to work on this next year, or the new things you already got in your mind? You think I'm going to do that, or without
Yes, yes.
too much
Well,
about?
I finished this frames. I finished a new silk cola, which has no preparation in the bottle or tube.
Yeah.
Um, I finished just for me, a little transparent zigzag deck, and I'm starting to work with an effect with two small clocks
Right.
uh, that are of wood, and they are very nice as well. Interesting effect if it works. I'm finishing.
I'm sure you will make it work because you look like you spend a lot of time to finishing up and looking for detail, and it's absolutely superb. And product is crazy. So I wouldn't spend so much time on my product, but you do. You spend a lot of time, so it's great. And
Thank you.
would you recommend us a book, something, a book you think is one of a great book I ever heard, or read, or a good magic book for amateur magician and even for profane like us, a very good book.
Well, yes, if I have to recommend a book that any magician can read, besides being books on being professional and stuff like that, but even the amateur, I think maybe it would be the Navajas y Daltonismo. It's the knives and color blind, is it in English?
Right, yeah.
It's a book by Arturo de Ascanio. It's a book about color changing knives. So it's a theme that most of the people are not very interested into learning. But this book, even being about a subject that almost doesn't create a lot of interest, is a book that has so much to learn for magic in general, in theory of magic, in misdirection, in psychology of color changes, and so many different aspects, theoretical aspects he talk about on this book, that I think that's a book that everybody should read.
Is it an
It's an
English book, did you
inspiring
say?
book. It's great.
Is it in English or is it in Portuguese?
The original is in Spanish, but it has a translation done by Jesus Echeverry for maybe some years ago, I think. It's The Magic of Ascanio. There's 4
Yes,
volumes.
okay, I think I got it, yeah. Yeah,
This one is the last volume.
mm, 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 mm.
I'm not sure how the English translation is differences from the Spanish one, but the Spanish one is great.
Cool. So, Guillermo, look, listen, I had a pleasure to talk to you. It was absolutely awesome. I love you, and I love spending time with you on social media and things like that. And I can't wait for these tricks, the trick we're talking about, to be produced, because that will be absolutely amazing. I love you, all the story. You come from Brazil. You settled down in this country, Norway, totally different country. It's a bit like me coming from France to England, but that's a big different, Brazil and Norway. So respect on that. I love you. I love your style. You're a very good magician as a practical magician, but like a bit like me, like you don't care about it. You do. It's carries, it's power, it's banter. So I love all that. So I wish you well. I hope we know a little bit more about you for people who don't know you, but I'm so pleased I could have a good chat with you, and I'm sure we'll see you soon. Guillermo, hasta luego. Obrigado.
Obrigado, my friend. It was great to chat with you, and I hope to catch up with you soon.
Take care, Guillermo.
You too. Bye bye.